Hi, this is Gary Kay. We're here at InfoComm 2022. We're at the beginning of day 2, and I discovered a company that you probably have not even heard of, kind of. So MediaSite owns a company, or is launching a company called Vidable, and Mike Snavely is the general manager of Vidable. Mike, how are you?
Terrific. Thanks a lot. Good to see you.
So our industry is all about video, so this is something that you all should know about because you're all in the world of video in some way or another. Talk to the viewers on what is Vidable exactly. It's vidable.com.
Vidable, yep, vidable.com. So Vidable is the most comprehensive collection of artificial intelligence for video manipulation that exists. So here's one of the challenges that we've noticed, particularly over the past couple of years, but in general, we've got producers with large content libraries. Right. And that's really spiked over the last couple of years during the remote times.
Yeah, I mean, everybody started doing webinars, everybody started having remote meetings. So yeah, there's a ton of video out there that they didn't know what to do with before the pandemic, and they certainly don't know what to do with it after.
That's right. It's real easy to push the record button and then what, right? Yeah. So what we've done is figured out that, look, to make something usable out of the video content in your library, you can do one of two things. You can sit down and watch it again, yeah, and have a human being tag the content, transcribe it, or otherwise take care of understanding what's in it, or you can get a robot to do it. So what we're building is a set of robots, artificial intelligence, that will actually create a comprehensive view of what the content of the video is. So that's every word spoken, every word displayed on the screen, objects, people, who's speaking what, the people in the room, all kinds of stuff that we're going to be able to do a full characterization of what's in that content. And then we apply a search layer on top of that. So the benefit for a content creator is they know what they've got, and they know what to do with what they've got. So they may decide to, yeah, exactly, they may decide to deprecate some content. They may decide to say, wow, this is like the best of the best, amplify it. For the viewer, they have a good shot at finding what they're looking for.
Okay, so let me give you so I teach at the University of North Carolina. I teach advertising. Yep. And in addition to teaching in person, we record all of our lectures and we post them on Panopto as an example, yeah, sure, like we do. Mm-hmm. So what Panopto does allows you to chapterize it and sort of like time code find things, right? Sure. What you're proposing is that instead of doing that, allow it to go through your AI, and then a student would literally, through all the semesters or classes or other professors worth of content, by using search terms that they're familiar with, be able to find whatever they're looking for. Like I remember in some class that teacher talked about green grass, type in green grass, and it would pop up when that professor talked about green grass.
That's right. It's not only about that particular instance of green grass, it's about every time green grass has been talked about through the entire catalog, right, of content the university has. That's awesome. That's a perfect use case, as a matter of fact. And let me make another point here. We are architecting Vidable to be available to any video platform, irrespective of where it is.
Plug it in theoretically into Panopto.
I can plug it into Panopto. I can plug it into Sonic Foundry's MediaSite. Yeah. I can plug it into Bright Cove. I can plug it into YouTube, yeah, quite frankly, right? Yeah. So the idea is this is a set of services that can be called via an API by any holder of video content anywhere in the world.
So where does this smart layer sit? Is it some kind of overlay that's connecting to the cloud that's monitoring this as you're doing these search terms, or is it code that's put on the video once it's online? Like, where does that AI come from?
Essentially, we're pulling the video content through the Vidable cloud, okay, and then returning yes, it's not really real time per se. It will be real time in the future, okay, but right now it's a batch process. Okay. We can run about 60 minutes of video through in less than a minute. Okay. And really fully characterize it. We then return the video and the metadata file associated with it, re-upload it into the video platform that it came from, or anywhere else the customer may specify. And so now you've got, we don't want to replace your video platform. Right. We want to make it better. Yeah. And that's the fundamental promise of Vidable.
So from an AV integrator standpoint, anytime they're selling to an enterprise customer or facility-wide customer that's managing lots of video, yep, this is an easy add-on. It's an upgrade, like an easy add-on service, and it's so different I think one of the issues is no one is thinking about this. Like, it's not like everyone's thinking or walking around thinking, I need to add AI to my video. They're not even thinking about that because they're not in the application of providing it. They're in the application of providing the hardware to do it, not the software to provide it. They're like, oh, well, YouTube does that. What you're saying is, hey, integrators and customers that, that are smart enough to come to a show like this, instead of just uploading your video, why don't you make the video more accessible by adding your layer on there, your AI layer.
Yep. Why don't you make it valuable after the event?
Yeah.
Why don't you make it something that can actually become an information asset for the content creator? Cool. And so ultimately what we can do, and I got to tell you, we got some really advanced things that are on the drawing board. Yeah. We can turn any video content into interactive educational content as well by applying an AI that'll create quizzing. So there's all kinds of really great stuff that's
smart enough to understand the content to create a quiz based on what you talked about. And you might have to go in and edit it because it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to do 90% of the work for you.
That's exactly right.
Okay. I see a lot of applications for this, higher education, corporate, I see lots of applications for this kind of thing. So what has to happen is that an integrator needs to realize, this is interesting because, for those of you who've been reading and watching what I've been talking about for years, I've been talking about how we need, as an industry, to add more services onto what we do. This is a great example of a simple service to add. I can guarantee you this, if they don't mention it, the customer's not going to buy it from them.
That's
so
right.
They have to say, hey, there's this service called Vidable, and this is your launch, right? This is your launch into the industry.
Yep, it sure is. And I'll tell you, I think that the sales conversation goes something like this. We're going to capture 400 hours of video for you over the next period of time. What are you going to do with it? Yeah. How can we turn this into a monetizable asset for you? Right. How can we make this discoverable? How can we turn this into part of your archive in a way that's findable? And so I think that conversation unfolds nicely into essentially a licensed service sale as an add-on to the hardware, et cetera.
But you have to sell it up front because I think doing it after the fact, our industry tends to look at the AIDA funnel rather than the continuum of the consumer journey. So therefore what happens is they typically sell and they walk away from the customer until the customer calls them for the next sale.
Yeah, sure enough.
So they need to do this up front. So I could even see this, think about companies, large companies have lots of meetings. And theoretically, they're recording all these meetings on Zoom and Teams.
They are.
This could be another way to archive those and make them smarter content that you could recall easier. And also legally. This could also be a benefit for the legal department for those companies as well.
It sure could. Think about this use case. Think about an executive who's gone on vacation for 2 weeks. And that executive wants to know what's been going on while he's gone.
Yeah, they can just
so instead of sitting down and watching all of the important meetings, the executive meetings, the sales meetings with key customers, and that kind of thing, he or she can just consume a summarized version. Think of it as a highlight reel of all the video that was captured during his or her absence. Boom, right?
So you waste you don't have to watch can you hear me? Is my sharing working? You get rid of all that. And
hey, Bob, you're on mute. All that gets trimmed out.
All right,
the
I get it.
Sees only the highlights.
You know what's interesting about this? I believe that you're going to pull this off because MediaSite has a long history in video acquisition, quality, archiving and recalling. And of course, obviously, primarily in the higher education space and K-12, but also they have the technology behind to do it anywhere. So Vidable, Vidable. Mike, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. I wish you best of luck. I hope that integrators see the value in this because adding this on doing this as an add-on is great because it'd be a lot of recurring revenue potential on something.
Sure enough. That's exactly right.
Yep. So check it out at vidable.com. And of course, if you want to watch all of our videos, we already shot almost 450 videos yesterday. They're at ravepubs.com/InfoComm 2022, or of course, you can see all of our coverage at ravepubs.com.